how he does. Obviously, there's a couple weeks left, a couple preseason games left. And who knows what's going to happen. So, there's still time to see, and there are a lot of things that can happen until then. But all I know is the kid's done a heck of a job up to now. Punt return game, I think that there's a handful of returners that are doing a nice job. Roberts is doing a nice job. Lucky's doing a nice job. And, Trenton, obviously, is a young returner and has got some things to learn. He had a couple hiccups there where he lost track of the ball, was staring at the return guys coming down, the coverage guys coming down. He knows he's got some things to work on. We knew when we drafted him that, that it was going to be, he was going to be ready for kick return duties, and that punt returning, he's just never done it. And, that happens to everybody. And, you can look at some of the best returners in the game, the history of the game, and those guys fumble too. And they fumble a lot. They muff a lot. And so, it happens to everybody. It's a learning experience. It's a preseason game. That's what these preseason games are for, is to find out if they can do it and if they need more work. And, he's got a hell of a lot of talent. Do I think he'll rebound and learn? Yeah, I do.
How tough is it for a guy to learn that from scratch?
Tarek Cohen did it last year. He never caught him in college. There's a lot of guys that transfer it from college to pro that never did it, and they're too valuable on offense in college. Their coaches don't play them, things like that. So, I think it happens all the time. Some guys take longer than others, and so I think that a lot of times that, like I said, some people pick it up a little faster, but I have no doubt to see his improvement from when he got here, to see what he is now, to see what he will be in a month, what he'll be in 2 months, everything like that. Have no question that I think he'll be ready at some point this year. It all depends how he progresses and everything like that. But he is a worker. He's a damn good kid, and obviously, I think he's got run talent, speed, everything that you need. So I think he'll do fine. He's going to be fine.
How do you then, Brent, balance the upside of someone like Trenton with what he could potentially do once the ball's in his hands, with the risk with him probably being a little bit more prone to dropping one? Where does that balance lie?
I think you just got to understand that you take the good with the bad sometimes, and you don't put him in those situations until they're ready. And in a regular season game, that's when you don't put them in situations like that until they're ready. In preseason games, you find out what they're made of and everything like that. That's what those games are for, is to put them out there and see how they respond. And, if they drop one, to see how they respond with the second one, I really think that's what, and I think Todd agrees that that's where you see what kids are made of. And, I think that, anytime a kid, it's just like anything, like a quarterback, like a receiver, like a linebacker. Hell, the more reps you can get them, the better they're going to be. You just don't go out there under the lights, and no matter what position, and you don't become a star from day one. You got to learn. Quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, linebackers, you got to get reps.
What kind of impact do you think the new kickoff rules will have?
I think there's going to be a big emphasis on, I think the kick return aspect is going to be a heck of a big deal this year. I think there's going to be bigger plays in the return game than there has been in the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years, because of the non-running start. I think you're going to have a kicker that can kick touchbacks. I think that your up front guys are going to have to be athletic and be able to block. So I think that you're going to have more people and a kicker that can do that for sure.
But without the wedge, it kind of affects your roster composition too, right? With the 300-pound dudes
Yeah, back when I was playing, we're hitting 4-man wedges back there, and so you can't do that anymore. You got to have more tight ends, running backs, everything like that, playing back there, and so and then more smaller guys covering. And so, you know, it's the whole thing's going to change. And so, you know, I think we've seen it already in more penalties being called and stuff like that. So I really like what they've done and taken that. You know, I think the NFL has done a nice job taking that wedge out of the game. And, you know, I think that it's a good role to have. I really do.
What was the penalty, the formation penalty you guys got called for against Atlanta?
That was where the 3 was standing on the numbers, and that wasn't supposed to be a penalty.
Brent, what do you think of the new helmet rule as it applies to return game? We've seen some return in San Francisco made like a perfect form tackle. He got flagged the other day.
I think that there's. I just watched another one right before we came in here. That, I mean, I understand what the gist of it is. I understand what's trying to get accomplished. But I think it's a very hard thing to officiate. You know, they're trying to stop the head-to-head blows. They're trying to stop the crown of the helmet being, you know, hitting somebody else's head, everything like that. But that is very, very hard at that kind of speed. Everything is, when you're out there, it's like flashes of color, and that's all you see. The game is so fast, and I don't know how they can officiate that a lot of times. I mean, it is very, very hard to do. I understand what they're trying to get done, but it'd be very, very hard to officiate. I know that.
Brent, on the kicking situation, one other question. Usually in training camp, you see at the end of practice, well, kickers come out and kick a lot of field goals. We haven't seen that hardly at all in camp. Is that because you have one kicker, you're limiting it, or are you doing it at walkthrough? It doesn't seem like we've seen a lot of the kicker during practice.
Well, all that information you'll have to get from Todd. I'm not trying to hide anything from you guys, but that stuff you'll have to get from Todd. Any other questions? Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
What do you like the most about how Sam has bounced back? Because we've seen some mistakes out there, of course, but just his ability to bounce back.
Yeah, he moves to the next play for a young kid. Unbelievable. Like, he doesn't dwell on it. He moves on. And actually, when he has a mistake, usually the next play, he's more focused, more intense, and he usually does better that next play. So, you know, he's a mature 21-year-old, and nothing's too big for him. He doesn't get down on himself. He understands that it's the next play that's most important, and he does it day in and day out. So it's definitely a bonus, and I think as a quarterback or a player or a coach, you got to move on. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have a play or a call that you want back, but you can't do anything about the past, and he's a great example.
You have confidence in his mental capacity to handle the ups and downs of being a quarterback at 21-year-old.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, mentally, he's sharp. He loves the game. He's tough. He's everything you're looking for in a young quarterback, as far as the ability to go out there, and the game's not too big for him. The stage isn't too big for him, and he really, when the lights come on, he gets better.
How would you assess his progress so far, and also his readiness to start week 1?
I think he's progressing extremely fast. For a young quarterback to come in here, a great example would be 3 or 4 days when he wasn't here, and when he came out on the field, he didn't even have meetings, and he just went in there and started calling plays and running plays. And as you guys know, a lot of young quarterbacks, it takes a while to learn the plays and spit it out in the huddle, and that a lot of times takes a whole year for some of you guys. And he just came out, no meeting time, and man, he hit the field running. And but every day he's really hard on himself in a positive manner. He critiques himself on every single play when he watches film. He's not going to make the same mistake twice. And he's always improving, and he's watching Josh and watching Teddy, and he's grown from them. And he studies other quarterbacks on tape. So he's a student of the game.
What about with regard
Do you have a philosophy? Sorry about that. Do you have have you always carried a philosophy about whether you think a rookie, should be starting at quarterback or should take the benefit?
I think at all positions you're looking to play the best 11. It doesn't matter where they come from, when they were drafted, what year they are. You're looking to play the best 11 players, and we look at that at every position. And so, it's all about competition, and we want to put the best players on the field that give us a chance to win.
But you don't look at quarterback differently. I mean, obviously, it's a complete.
I think every position is the same. If someone can't handle it mentally, then you don't want to put them on the field, because then naturally they'll play slower and be thinking instead of reacting. So you got to look at every player the same. I've seen some vets that come in that couldn't grasp the new offense, and you don't want to play them at the same time as a rookie. So if a player shows the ability, the athletic ability, the talent, and has the mental capacity to handle a game plan and go into a game and be successful, then he's ready to play.
What, if anything, does he have to prove to you over the next 2 games to show that he's ready to be a week?
Yeah, I don't think all 3 of them have to prove anything. They just got to continue to do what they're doing, and that's playing smart football, taking care of the football, being good game managers, being great leaders in the locker room and on the field, and just keep doing what all 3 of them have been doing for 4 months. I mean, it's really a good room, and I think proves kind of a strong word, if you will. Sorry, Rich, but just keep doing what you're doing. They're playing football and they love playing, and they come out and compete every single day. And as long as you stay in that kind of manner, that kind of mindset, I think successful things are going to happen for all 3.
Jeremy, I think for us it's easy to see when Sam throws a touchdown, okay, that's a good play, or when throws an interception, that's a bad play, and accuracy.
Yeah.
It's easy to talk from the sideline, but for you as someone who spends so much time with these guys and breaks down the film and sees them in the meeting room, what has been the most impressive aspect of Darnold's game for you, and what kind of stood out that maybe the rest of us don't see?
Yeah, I think it's what probably all you guys did see in college is the ability to make plays off schedule. As we all know, it's not a 7-on-7 league. And when things break down, which they do probably 70% of the game, he's able to keep his head downfield. He's able to scramble, find the lanes, and he finds the open receiver. So just being able to make plays off schedule is very powerful. And he did it in college, and he's still doing it today. And I'm not saying a lot of young quarterbacks, they scramble and they run. And he only runs when things break down. He stays in the pocket, he pushes up, keeps his eyes downfield, and he makes plays in an uncomfortable position.
How do you think that Teddy has done? I mean, obviously to us it looks like he's kind of really bounced back from the knee issue, but from a play caller's perspective.
Incredible. I think one of the coolest stories I have of this whole summer was when Teddy went in against Atlanta. Everything he's been through, and then you get to know him, and everything you hear is the truth. And he's been grinding and working in the training room with Jay Mel, and you get all the way to the point to the Atlanta game, and his number's called, and man, he just had the biggest smile, and it was just, I got goosebumps on the sideline. It was like a little kid going playing Pop Warner because he finally got to the Saturday, and it was just really neat to be part of that experience with him, getting him back on the field, because he's just been incredible. He's a grinder. He's great for the room. He's a leader in the whole building, and man, I just enjoy being with him and watching him play the game because he's really talented.
Jeremy, how have you changed as a coach since the last time you were a coordinator in Seattle?
That's a good question. I think number one, I'm really relying more on my staff. I think as a young coach, as a young coordinator in the past, you want to be competitive, and if you kind of, sometimes as a young coach, you want to do it all, and not that you don't trust everyone in the staff, but if you don't fail, and as a young coach, I had the mindset, if I'm going to fail, it's going to be me. And I think now I've been able to, kind of sit back and realize that there's a lot of great coaches on our staff. We can all work together. We can all collectively put together a game plan and execute a game plan. And I think I think that's probably the biggest change from when I was younger. When I was younger, it wasn't that I didn't respect the coaches on my staff. It was just, you're young, you have to prove yourself, and I kind of took that, you got to prove yourself to the probably the wrong level.
What did you gain from your time away from the NFL?
I think number one is just the power of positive, and You know, it sounds crazy, but I was really hard on myself at a younger age, and I was a perfectionist, and everything had to be right. And if it wasn't, then instead of just moving on and hey, next play and all that, just like I talk about with the quarterbacks, like I just kind of let it get me down in a way, because I'm trying to strive for perfection, and it's hard to be perfect. And when I went hiking, I kind of like on my journey, if you have a backpack on your back and it starts raining and you're like, oh man, it's raining, that backpack now all of a sudden gets 20 pounds heavier, that hill gets 10 degrees steeper. And I think just kind of slowing down and just being like the power of positive. If you're positive and it's raining, you're like, oh, it's beautiful. I'm not listening to the sound of rain. And then all of a sudden your backpack's light and the mountain's not as steep. So just being positive, I think, has changed me.
How would you assess Sam's readiness to start in week 1 right now?
I think all three quarterbacks are doing a great job. I think all three are have the ability to be starters in the National Football League. They got to continue to work. They got to continue to grind. But they all three love the game. They have the talent to play in the National Football League and be starters. So the room itself is it's the best room I've been a part of, and it's a pleasure to see them every morning. It's fun to come to work and know that they're ready to learn and ready to go conquer the day.
What went into your decision to call the game from the sideline instead of from the box?
Yeah, I've always I just like being on the sideline. Number one, we get the pictures, so after every series we can go back and revisit that. But at the same time, you want to see the offensive lineman's eyes. You want to see what the quarterback's thinking. Does he have the ghost look or is he fired up? Same with all positions. So. You kind of just get the feel of the guys, and hey, let's pound the ball a little bit, guys, and you're able to communicate with them, and I don't know, you're amongst your team and the guys that are leading the team.
Where'd you live in Seattle?
Excuse me?
You were upstairs in Seattle?
No, I've always been on the field. Yep, Denver. I was on the field with Jay, of course. It's just I like talking to the quarterback, and not a big phone guy.
Just back to Sam for a moment.
Yep.
From the point when you were scouting him and part of the interview process and whatnot, prior to the draft to now, what are some things that you've seen that now you've had him on the field that
Yep.
maybe blew you away, for lack of a better way of putting it, or you didn't think maybe you might be getting?
I think the number one is just how easy the game is for him, both mentally and physically. We haven't scaled back offensively. We were giving Sam the same amount of information and same plays as we're giving Josh and Teddy, NFL vets. So he's able to take the classroom knowledge and all the stuff he studied in the classroom and take it right to the field and execute it. And that's we're throwing a lot of football at him, and he's able to handle it. And that's hard to tell in college. In college he was looking at the signs at the sideline, so you just never know. And man, he's owned the playbook, so that's probably the most impressive thing for him.
Oh, non-quarterback question,
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy. How competitive has the receiver room been, and how difficult will it be?
Yeah, good question. I think every room's been extremely competitive. The line, tight ends, running backs, receivers. I'm really happy with the whole group as a whole. They come to work every single day. They're challenging each other competitively, and they're pushing for each other. It's a great group of guys in every room. So I think we've had a good OTA all the way through training camp, and I think the toughest thing is going to be in 2 weeks when we have to cut some of these fine young men, because there hasn't been one guy that hasn't given 100% every single day.
There we go. Had to get down. Yeah, I had to get. Hey, he making putting people on running program 3 days away. I don't know what's done got into him. But that's good. Y'all want to start off talking about the quarterback? I think he's outstanding, but I think all of them are. All of them are. Really great guys.
Casey, how do you think Shepard is at this point?
You know what? Really been impressed with him so far because he's kind of been force-fed in a way no different than we did with our two safeties last year. Since he's been here, he's kind of been in the first team mix and everything, and he's kind of been holding his own.
Casey, how are you guys gonna get to the quarterback?
Well, the thing is, as we look at our guys, as we still evaluating them and this and that. We're kind of finding the right combination of guys because those guys are working hard at it every day. And the things that we're seeing is like we get guys getting close. We just got to be more consistent at getting closer more often.
Anyone emerging outside position?
You know, we sit there and looked. I know we looked at Luvu the other night. He made a couple of plays, and then Copeland was close. And the guys we keep working in, and Jordan early on in the game, we're seeing some flashes. We just got to get the right combination together. That's what we're still evaluating.
Do you envision using a rotation at that position throughout the year to just kind of attack with fresh legs, or do you envision, two guys eventually staying?
You would always like the more depth you have to be able to get a good rotation of guys flowing, especially in the fourth quarter of a close game to have strong rush at the end. But right now we're trying to find the right combination of guys to work together and kind of still for us it's still training camp mode, but you would like a cohesive group that they work together, that work the timing of their games together, stuff like that. That's what we're still mixing up.
Casey, how much will that stress tie to you, though, if you cannot get consistent pressure off the edge?
The thing is, it's a passing league. It really is. You want to stop the run from a defensive velocity, make teams one-dimensional, but it is a passing league. So at some point in time, you got to affect the quarterback. So you have to. It's important, no doubt. We have to affect the quarterback, but there's a lot of different ways to affect the quarterback. With coverage, with blitz, with mixing it up, it's a combination of things.
The sacks come in bunches, I remember.
No doubt, no doubt.
What has been your impression of Trumaine so far?
You know what? He's been a consummate professional, and he's kind of guy that's come here, a highly touted guy, but he really don't say a word. He just come in and does his work every day and lines up, takes all his reps, and he got his job done. I've been extremely impressed with him.
Lorenzo Malzio, obviously, a couple of years ago had a decent season as a rookie, and
No doubt.
injuries, and this year, another injury. He's kind of been quiet about even before and after that. So what have you seen from him, and kind of what is your analysis of how he's played, I guess, in Tramp?
Well, kind of with Malden, so once we get him rolling, then we lose him for a while. Get him rolling, lose him a while. He's just really hadn't had enough consistency because he can't stay out there, but he's working hard every day.
Is that going to be tough then for him to make the team because of the guys that have been in front seem to be playing pretty well?
I wouldn't say that because I'm saying as far as us, we're still in the evaluation process. No decision is to be made. Matter of fact, because everybody's still fighting for jobs.
What kind of challenge, Casey, is the new helmet rule for you guys in terms of teaching?
You know what? The officials came in. We talked about it. Coach stresses it in the meeting, so we're all aware of what they're calling now. The thing is, you just see different things in different preseason games, even a couple in our game. So now we're just having to say this is where they're placing emphasis. Make sure we avoid this.
Casey, would you like to see Marcus out there at some point? There's only 2 preseason games left. He obviously won't play the last one. So would you like to actually see him in a preseason game?
No, we're pretty confident where Marcus is.
Going back to the penalties for a second. I remember, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago when it was either the defenseless receiver or the holding call. It just seemed like there were penalties all over the field in the preseason, and then in the regular season they dialed it back a lot.
Right.
Do you think something similar will happen this year, where the refs are kind of being a little over efficient? Like, you know what I mean?
Not necessarily what you kind of what they're saying. When they make a point of emphasis, they really emphasize it in it. But really, for the most, sometimes it really carries on, especially with the protecting player safety. They're really, really cracking down on that. So everybody playing by the same rules. We'll adjust and we'll go.
Do you think that this isn't just, they're not just...
No, I think this is going to be here. I think player safety is of the utmost.
Casey, what about the point of emphasis, the one Jordan got called for the other night, landing on the quarterback? He didn't really drove him into the ground, and then when the officials were here, they showed us just if you land with your body weight, you're going to get flagged.
No doubt.
What do you teach your defensive linemen, 300-pound guys that are coming in?
Don't put your weight on them. We want to fall off to the side, and it's a bang bang play. The faster you're trying to get to this quarterback in a hurry, but this is a rule, and they are calling it. So you got to work to get him down, but don't fall and put your whole body weight on him.
Is that going to make a challenge? Thinking about like a guy like Ben Roethlisberger. If you go off to the side, there's a chance he's going to shake you. And
It's the rules everybody's playing by. So if we could, whatever we can do to get him on the ground, just can't put all your body weight on him.
How do you think Leonard has looked to this point?
Actually, I thought he's really had a strong camp. He really hasn't really been impressed with him so far, this and that, and we just hope it carries over into the regular season.
In what ways do you think Jamal will be a better player this year?
Jamal is just growing up leaps and bounds. It's funny, I was speaking with him the other day, and he was just talking about how year 2 things slowed down from year 1 out there. He didn't know what to expect. He was just reacting and playing. Now year 2, he's kind of sitting there, he's calling out stuff before it happened. The maturity process is just going through the roof.
how is Darren's camp now?
Actually, Darren has been really good, really solid. I think that Darren really wants to extend as a player. He really does. As a matter of fact, he just told me he had something to talk to me about. But he is really taking it to part. I want to just keep extending as a player.
Everybody good? Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys later.
How much did you lose? Secret.